welcome. Today's topic is transforming the role of woman while bringing through the feminine divine. In order to transform into anything, it always helps to know where you are transferring from. Where are you right now? Because it helps to have a starting point when you know where your finish line is, so that you can take the steps in the right direction rather than just being blown around by accident. So looking at the role of women, we have traditionally the role of the mother, wife, daughter, sister, and the object of sexual desire. And I'm calling it an object because there's not very much persona in it. It's more of an object to fill a sexual desire than it is to actually have a person there. Unfortunately, nowadays in the popular music, the lyrics often focus on women as just an object of desire to be used and tossed, which I find kind of sad for the young women today. And I hope that they will stand up and say something about that too. But let's get back to the role of women. So if we wanted to get a job, we had to get out of those classic roles. And we've done so in the last 15 to 100 years. We have gotten our voices heard, being able to vote, being able to infiltrate the business world and the world of politics, science, and education. We really stand up and run companies now and do quite well that way. But in order to do that, we had to become more of a man in a man's world. We had to give up some of the feminine quality, and we had to become the male shark to swim with the sharks. And now we are at a point on this planet where we're pushed in the corner. We have nothing to leave for the next generation. We have ruined the environment. We have global warming. Our food supply is threatened by the lowering count in bees and by all the poisons we have polluted the air with. We have rising oceans, and I mean, you know how it looks. I don't need to go into detail on that. Our waters are threatening to be poisoned everywhere, and we need to change our ways if we don't want to go down with the planet, although we may go down before the planet, I think. The planet's pretty well structured to survive our behavior. But what has caused all that, or why are we calling to women right now to change things in particular? I'm calling to women right now to change things in particular because part of the female energy is the community, and the male energy is more of the warrior, the conqueror and powerful step forward thing. But those two need to be in balance. There's nothing wrong with the spiritual warrior, just like there's nothing wrong with the role of the feminine divine. But when they're so hugely out of balance, it creates a problem. Now, in my education, as far as I've learned back in history, it's always been a completely male-dominated society and world all across. So where are our options? How can we change as women the way things are done? And one of the things I like to do here is also to identify what is our biggest enemy. Or maybe enemy is not a word that some of you like because it puts you in opposition. What is our biggest challenge? And I believe our biggest challenge right now is the addiction to greed. Why am I saying it's an addiction? I am calling it an addiction because it will sell its own mother in order to acquire more. If we had a bucket full of fish and water, and one fish decided to, well, I'm going to get my own bucket and I'm going to take all the water out of here, well, he'll be a lonely fish in another bucket. But the fish in the original bucket, now out of water, will have to vanish. And that's what's been happening. We having the top 1% taking everything out of the community with no regard to the community that in essence is supporting it, because 1% or 90%, it doesn't make any difference where you are. We are in this together. We're on this planet together, and we're in these challenges together. So what we need is women to actually step forward and create a different way. We don't have to change the man's world, but we can create a new world that does things differently. So my call is to, first of all, look at yourself, because we can't change anybody else. We can only change ourselves, and that's the most challenging but also the most rewarding. So we can look and ask ourselves, where am I now, and how can I be of service in the community while moving forward? So balancing the male and female energy, and doing that in a way that is not conquering everybody and then making them be your community, but honoring the community, like honoring the elders in some tribes where people really honored their traditions. We need to go back to something like that and honoring our fellow men, all of them. We can build companies that offer healthcare and living wages for everybody in it. There's no point in having a company where the bonus for the top floor is so big while the people on the bottom floor cannot buy medicine for their children, cannot pay their rent, cannot be there to do that. So in that case, we're destroying the community, and eventually the community will destroy all of it, because when it's gone, there's no support anymore. And we have a lot of people moving forward and coming out and stepping forward and doing it in a big business type way. We have companies that offer childcare and bonuses and health care, but less and less so. It's becoming more of a me world. And this addiction of greed is so strong that it's even hijacked all the spiritual worlds. It's hijacked the spiritual movement by telling everybody, yes, there's enough for everybody, and if you just think right, you can have the multi-million-dollar mansion. Not everybody can have that multi-million-dollar mansion. There's not enough room on this planet. So whether you believe that there's enough for everybody and that there's no scarcity, it will just appear to everybody or not, doesn't make any difference. The planet is limited, and we can't live while supporting that kind of an attitude. And also, that is not an attitude of giving back to the community. And it's not done with, oh yeah, I'm doing my little charitable contribution. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of thinking about, what are we going to leave for our kids? How can we reduce the amount of plastic we use? And it's not that easy. I mean, I've several times tried to not have any plastic touch my body for like a day, It's a challenge. So you work on yourself and you find ways of how to be the change that you want to see. How to be the company, how to think about how does the whole community benefit from that. And you know, we can say, oh, we built a big resort somewhere and the community is very poor there, so we employ all these people to help us run the resort and everybody will benefit from that. And that's true, but in actuality what is happening, we use all those people there, we pay them very low to service the high needs of our resort, and this creates anger, and now you can go visit that resort, but you can't step off the resort because it's too dangerous. So there's a fine line of what is serving the community. So the answer again is greed. Can I run a resort? And can I make less money on running the resort? And can I pay people better? Can I actually build hospitals in that community or schools or other places that people enjoy, gardens and food supply? But we're sure to run away at that point because we think, oh, I need to have 6, 7, 8 or 9 figures, and what really happens afterwards is not so important because I'm already moving on. So our enemy and our biggest challenge is overcoming greed and the struggle for power that has taken over like an epidemic and a disease. And even when we go to poor neighborhoods, their dreams are to become a sports star or a drug dealer or something like that, to make that money to get out of the community. But the real issue would be bring that love and compassion into the community. And in order to be at war with the country, help them get medicine and food, help them build and live happy. Every mother loves their child. So the feminine energy, the divine feminine energy, would find programs that help, as some people call it, bridges instead of walls. So whether we build walls or have borders, it's an illusion, because we are one species, we're one race, and we have one planet. And our only hope to survive this one planet is to do it by working together, by becoming a community. And since this is largely the feminine divine influence, I'm calling on women to look at your life and see how you can bring your work into the community, how you can not separate yourself so much from everybody, but come together, listen, and see with the eyes of love. Because if you see with the eyes of love, you see that the homeless person is a person. The person had a mother. We all had mothers to come here. Somebody loved this person. Something went wrong, so maybe we can look at that and think about how can we bring that community back together and heal us, ourselves, in the process. Because the other really interesting thing is, you cannot have an open heart and be the love that you are and look at a lot of misery. It's so painful that you can't stand it. So we harden ourselves and we close ourselves off and we become less human in the process. So we dehumanize ourselves in order to live in the world that we've created. And that's a very sad state of affairs. So in your personal life, I'd like you to join me in that challenge to open your heart to every day and go out and ask yourself as you go through your day, if I was love energy, what would I do now? How would I react? What would be my next step? And in that changing yourself and becoming more of your essence and bringing in more of your feminine divine, you create a new path of being. And if you are interested in business, create a business that actually helps the community. And if you're into politics, help other countries and help communities. Build instead of destroy. And if you're into teaching, teach your girls and boys to respect one another and to understand that we're in it together as one big planet. But that's what we have here as human beings, and while we're here, then let's form a community that will prosper through that love, compassion, unifying energy, and bring this into our communities.